Yeah.
I'll just send him a text.
Cool. Yeah, I'd sent him one earlier and told him he could hop in. So I said, I'll just. He said he thought he had some errands to do and that he would come in later. But I just said, well, whatever, dude. I'll just send you the invite, and if you can pop in, you can pop in. So
Perfect.
Gio knows about it, and I sent him an invite. I didn't tell him I was sending one. We'll see if he pops in. Anyway, here we are. It's another Husker fan hangout. Just me and Scott chilling, hoping some other folks decide to join us. If you happen to be watching this right now and you've got a few minutes, and you just want, even if it's just for 5-10 minutes, to come in and hang out with us and talk Husker stuff, please, by all means, do. This is a very relaxed, chilled out situation. So,
Yeah,
but
shoot a DM on our Twitter handle at GenRedPod or on Facebook. I don't try YouTube, but you can pretty much reach out to us. I actually just made a Twitter handle, so you could shoot me a message. I am now
cool.
at
Yeah.
Scott GenRedPod. I have approximately 0 followers, and I'm following like 50 people because I am absolutely new. But yeah, just shoot us a message. Come hang out with us. We're just gonna talk Husker stuff, like my dad and I generally do. So, well,
Yep. Just chilling.
what do you think about starting just our conversation right now about
Mathis.
recruitment talk, and our transfers that we just got in the last week?
Well, you know, it's the devil that we're stuck with, and it's the devil that I wish never would have entered college football, which would be the basically you can transfer whenever you want, wherever you want, at least once, and now everybody's got the opportunity to make money with basically no cap. There's really seems to be no rules on tampering or any of that kind of stuff. So, um, based on the stories I've heard, now I understand Nebraska media is good at putting the positive spin on just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
But the interview, I don't know if you caught the interview that Sean Callahan did from Husker Online with O'Shawn Mathis. It appeared that, doggone it, he was really, really impressed with everything Nebraska laid out as a program for him. He was extremely touched. His mom was extremely touched by the fact that they really made sure to pay attention to his younger brother, who is on the autism spectrum.
Oh.
And not only did they do film sessions with O'Shawn, they did film sessions with O'Shawn, his entire family, and his little brother was in there too. And he made it a point of saying that Dawson said something to the effect of, he pointed out holes in his game, some things that he could be exploited for in the Big Ten if he doesn't clean them up. And he said he really appreciated that. And his little brother said something to the effect, yeah, I think this guy will make you a really good football player, Daddy, or, O'Shawn. So I was like, wow, that's kind of neat. So apparently Nebraska rolled out the red carpet for 3 days. And, it doesn't hurt to have a $500,000 NIL deal on the table, but who knows how much was offered to him 20 miles down the road at Texas, and he chose us. So that tells me he knows his shot at the NFL is better by playing here in this conference than, playing in a conference that's basically going to be lame in a couple of years when both Texas and Oklahoma leave. What did you think of his commitment?
Like everybody else, just drinking the Kool-Aid, but also not trying to drink the Kool-Aid. I would say that just right off the top of my head, the area that I would be pessimistic about is just the change of league that he's going to be a part of the Big Ten now. And while he was a standout player and is according to 247 Sports, a 4-star transfer guy, top 100 in the country defensive player,
Yeah.
hands down. And when it comes to the transfer portal, I'm just curious about how it's going to transition to the Big Ten. Like you said, Mike Dawson did point out some holes in his game and potential areas of concern that he's going to need to figure out how to address. But that is my pessimistic point: is can he transfer that skill and that speed and that tenacity and make it translate to Big Ten physicality football.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, awesome. I mean, dude's got just an absolute stellar name. I mean, O'Shawn Mathis, like it just sounds like a
It
defensive end
screams
rushing
edge
name.
rusher.
Yes, it does. It does. And no, I did not see that interview, and that is actually really I hadn't heard the brother portion of that 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 you could tell, or no, that's me speaking in terms of that I know what went on, which I don't. So this is just off the top of my head. Um, it just sounds like they did everything that they could to make Mathis feel like this was going to be a home away from home, and that for his final graduation, grad transfer season, he's going to be able to be somewhere that he is not only comfortable with, uh, feeling like he can make himself an actual like first, second, maybe even, well, second or third, maybe even a first round draft pick. But also that he's going to like where he's at, and it's not just all business, which I'm sure there's a business side of it. I'm sure he
Sure.
got paid, right. I mean, have you heard any rumors of how much NIL he might have acquired? I imagine it's probably upper six figures, if not seven figures.
Yeah, the latest I'd heard, at least on like Hail Varsity and a couple of other outlets that were talking about the commitment, said that it was more of a right in that 250 to 500,000, half a
Okay.
million type deal.
Oh yeah, because he's
I
only
don't
gonna be here
know.
for a year. That
Yeah,
makes
I
sense. It
mean,
would be an insane thing to offer
sure.
somebody over, $1 million to go play for 1 year. I
1 year.
mean,
Yeah.
but I
In a
mean in the
conference he's
wild
never played in. Yeah.
in the wild west of I don't know why I didn't think about this, man, but I had no issue, like I'm a typical millennial slash like on the tinge of Gen Z, I'm like right in that younger age of things. So I don't, like
Yeah.
my brain just recently connected all together. Like the frontal cortex is actually connected to everything else. And so like I don't really have that much of a wisdom with foresight and whatnot. Um, but I did not think about the
Mhm.
implication that there was going to be an untethered positive feedback loop of just gratuitous amounts of money being pushed out at just there's hundreds of players, millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars going to hundreds of kids, collectively that is. That yeah, dude, this whole transfer portal thing, I don't care about the fact that people can just leave on a whim and go wherever, because if that's your mindset, like knock yourself out. You're probably going to sit
Sure.
second and third on the bench your whole life anyway. So um, however, the amount of money that's being pushed around without any regulation whatsoever is just insane.
It's
Like
kinda scary, isn't it?
yes, because this is the first year where it's really, really going like you're seeing the full extent of it manifesting
Mhm.
itself. And like I'm not normally like the we must regulate type of person. I'm very, like free market
Right.
minded. Um, but holy crap, like this is the way that I just intuitively see it right now. I know we're going way off to the left here, but whatever. Um, the way I see it right now is that this we haven't even seen the ceiling yet for how much money people are going to push out.
Yeah.
If the NCAA, which I am not a fan of, if they do not step in, I mean, goodness gracious, we could see $5 million, $10 million
Yeah.
NIL deals with kids. And at the very least, what I think needs to come down from this NIL thing is that when a kid gets an NIL deal, like let's say oh shoot, what's that goofball's name that was at Ohio State, number one like quarterback recruit, went to
Oh, Quinn
Texas?
Ewers.
Yeah, Quinn
Yeah.
Ewers. If they were to have something where it's like, hey, when you sign on this dotted line to get $1.8 million from us, guess what? You have to stay the whole time. Like
Yeah.
once you sign it, you're locked in, buddy. You have no transfer portal rights anymore. Like when we have this contract laid out, you're stuck. So that kids really have to actually think, okay, yeah, do I want to get my bag? Or do I want to stay where I'm at? Or, just I mean, obviously, I think there needs to be like some limitations, like, oh, per this much money, you can allow this much restriction on their movement and whatnot. Like, once you get over $1 million, like, sorry, buddy,
Right.
you're stuck 4 years wherever you're going. That's just a thought I had, but dude, it's just crazy to see how this is all played out during this
Well,
off season.
yeah, I completely agree. I think, um, well, when you got a guy like Addison out there, right? We talked about that before we went live, I believe.
Yep.
Blitnikoff winner. Basically, what I've heard on a lot of the shows is that, USC's been courting him for quite a while, and he hadn't declared for the transfer portal until the very, very last possible second. And so now his services are up for bids. Something tells me he probably ends up at USC. Though I wonder how attractive it would be to come to a place like Nebraska, where you've got his old coach here, the guy that got him the Blitnikoff Award, and two quarterbacks that are both 4-stars that are probably going to be competing pretty hard in the fall for a starting job. I don't think Casey Thompson has landed that job 100% in any way, shape, or form. I saw just enough from Purdy in the spring game as far as arm talent that I think he could really challenge him. I think he would have challenged him hard in the spring if he hadn't been hurt. But that neither doesn't matter because Kenny Pickett's obviously not here. But, why wouldn't he want to come play for his old coach if he's got maybe this collective that brought O'Shawn here is going, hey, we've got another $500,000 if you want to just show up and see if you want to. Dude, Trey Palmer on one side, Addison on the other, friggin' Omar Manning, for God's sakes, in the slot, and interchangeable between him and Palmer and Martin and all those guys. I mean, there's just going to be crap piles of speed all over the field. I don't think it happens, but in this day and age, you can't ever say never. And a program like Nebraska that's been down technically for so long, they're going to throw their wild oats out there as often as they possibly can to get as many people into the fold to help them win, I believe. What do you think? Do you think there's even a remote chance that a guy like Addison ends up wearing the red N on a helmet?
I would say that it's like at best, I would say like 20% chance. Like, it's not very high. The areas where I would say I think that it's possible is exactly the thing that you lined up as coaching staff. He probably has some trust and confidence in Mark Whipple's ability to make some things happen for his benefit. And then the other area would be, well, that there's going to be a fan base that's going to be looking at you with some starry-eyed, desires from you. And so, what better way to, because what is he? What year is he at? Is he a junior?
I believe he's a graduate. No, he's too young to go to the NFL, so I believe he'd be going into his junior season with COVID year. Maybe he's still got 2 more years to play after this year.
What I'm thinking of is if he, I mean, it's a gamble, but
right.
let's take best case scenario, adding to that 20% chance that I'm thinking, it would be like a marketable decision for him in the sense that, okay, you go to Nebraska, you increase your Twitter following like by 10, 20,000 people just by default. And if you even have a remotely decent season, which I would say for him, he was probably looking like 1,000 yards. Like, you want to have at least 1,000 yards to be, noticeable again. Because I mean, he got 1,500 yards. Like, I mean, 1,000 yards is just like that's 2/3 of what you did before. So that's really the low end, but at least 1,000 yards. And you know what? Maybe he transfers again. It's like, all right, cool. Thank you, Nebraska, for giving me that. Or he goes right to the NFL draft and has himself a, first to third round draft pick, gets a few more $1 million from that. But on the other hand, it's like, Nebraska's still we have so much to prove. We have an insane
Mhm.
amount of things we have to prove this season. Scott Frost is clearly on the hot seat for this season. I mean, he has been, according to media sources, for the last 3 years.
Yeah,
But I do, like an actual, like, where I'm actually starting to think, you know what, this could be the year Frost gets fired,
yeah,
and Trev Alberts has pretty much implied that. Um, so why in the world would he want to go to a program that is essentially in its crucible, whereas like
yeah,
you have to prove yourself now or it's not going to happen? Um, why would somebody want to join a potential disaster? Um, I just, I think there's just more money and more, if
sure,
not more, not necessarily more, but if not just the same amount of recognition and PR that someone like himself would be looking for. He could find it pretty much anywhere. I'm sure he's got offers literally exploding out of his emails at this point. Um,
sure.
but no, I think it's like meh. It's like it's not. I don't think it's really all that possible. I'll be surprised. Like, please surprise me there, Jordan Addison. Like,
Well, yeah.
knock me off my chair. Like, I dare you.
Yeah,
But
and then, you got well, shoot, we got O'Shawn. I thought there was no chance in the world that we would get him over Texas. Um, I really didn't. I was completely surprised when he committed. Um, and then, you got, what, Devin Drew, is that what his name is?
yeah.
That defensive lineman? 208. Here's a question for you.
Okay.
6'2", 6'3", I think this Devin Drew is 280 pounds, markedly smaller for an interior defensive lineman than what Nebraska's been recruiting lately. Are we looking at a likely shift more full-time toward a 4-3 defense? Because imagine this lineup: Garrett Nelson on one end, O'Shawn Mathis on the other, and then you've got Ty Robinson and Devin Drew lined up in the middle. Devin Drew's got over 900 Power 5 snaps under his belt. The dude's got loads of experience. So we're basically, just like Mathis, we're going to get him for a year. But man, if we can make a 4-3 look really good, uh, yeah, I could see a lot more of those kind of guys getting plugged into the program in the future. But yeah, that I'm kind of excited to see what this, as much as I thought it was a detriment about 5 days ago, I'm actually really excited to see what this defensive line is going to be now.
Yes, and I think that to add on top of that, I would still like to see a few more pieces plugged in, obviously.
Sure.
However, this does relieve some of the like, oh shit, freaking Casey Rogers going to Oregon, and just feeling kind of like, okay, why are they leaving? Is it because they know that like they're just about ready to get outplayed by somebody that we have yet to know is coming? Um, or
Yeah.
is there some sort of like disintegration of trust and confidence in
Right.
our defensive line? Like, is there something wrong with with uh shit
Take
um
another drink, son.
oh yeah, that's a lot of things. Yep, that's a
And I
lot of
ain't
drinks.
bleeping it. So so Google's going to give the old explicit tag on the podcast, but that's okay.
Mike Dawson.
Uh
I don't know why I was
Mike
blanking on
Dawson, it's all right.
on it. Yeah, with Tony Tuioti going to Oregon and having
Yep.
Mike Dawson fill in there. Maybe there's a vibe problem, but with these guys committing, maybe there was something that they knew in the locker room that we didn't. That was like, hey, do you want
Yeah.
to do you want to continue to compete here and not have a for sure job, or do you want to go somewhere that needs you and you have a better chance at competing? I don't
Yeah.
know.
I Here's my take on it, and I think I heard this take on I think it was Hail Varsity. I don't remember. But I think part of the reason why you saw guys like Rogers Damian Jackson. I think maybe they were encouraged to say, hey, we know we've got a couple of dudes coming in the next week or so, and you might be sitting watching a lot of football this year. We'll probably need to use you, but if you can take your talents elsewhere and get yourself a decent NIL deal, why not? I mean, Damian Jackson, he could go to go wherever, and I'm pretty sure some vet out there that owns a business is going to give him an NIL deal, right?
Yeah.
And then, Rogers, as soon as he put his name in, he had offers from Arkansas, Auburn, USC. There they are again. But my take on the reason why guys like Mathis and Drew showed up is they know full well about Mike Dawson's NFL pedigree, a pedigree that, quite frankly, Tuioti didn't have yet. He's only coached in college, as far as I understand. Whereas Mike Dawson has a pedigree, and he's got a pension now too. He's coached long enough and well enough in the NFL to get him to earn his pension. I think guys like Mathis and Drew said, yeah, Big 12 didn't have a single dude recruited or drafted in the first round this season. Not a single one. Now that's saying something. And I think guys like Mathis and Drew said, oh, if I want to have a shot at least getting drafted, much less the first round, we've got to go somewhere where we're playing, well, NFL style football, because that's what the Big Ten plays. It really does. It plays an NFL style in a lot of places, and they have NFL style linemen, big, mean, nasty dudes that just like hitting people. And Mathis is going to get tested. Drew's going to get tested. But if I have confidence on one side of the ball of any of them, I've got confidence on that defense. And I think I like how we're looking, especially on third down. Imagine, Dawson and Schnan are going to freaking sit in a lab somewhere and stir up a way to get Tanner, Nelson, and Mathis on the field at the same time. That's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And all three of those dudes have an unstoppable motor. So I can't wait. I really can't. I mean, I cannot wait to see the game in Ireland, just to see A, what this offense is going to look like when it gets unveiled, and B, what this new look defensive line is going to look like. Are they going to come in a four-man down front, or are they going to come out with three guys down and one dude outside with another guy showing blitz? I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what it looks like.
From all of your media consumption that you've done with, Mathis and whatnot, was there ever any mention of like Garrett Nelson being around and maybe potentially, because this is my thought that I have, is I also wonder if Mathis kind of saw Garrett Nelson and was like, this is a dude I would love to play with. Like, he's a hype man and I like being hyped. And so if you and I can be like once again, but a positive feedback loop where you now have two incredibly vocal, respected leaders. I mean, Mathis is going to have to earn he's going to have to earn his chip. Like he needs to, earn the respect of his defense now. But I think that he's got the ability and the tenacity and the personality that I think that he could be not only a potential, a high potential for productivity on the field, but dang, think about like a vocal leader like Garrett Nelson getting into his guys for good things and for bad things. And then you've got O'Shawn Mathis right behind him or right in front of him, continuing that, accountability in the locker room, making sure that their guys aren't just disassociating before a game, like getting them engaged and making sure that they are rocking and rolling and ready to go. Was there any mention of Garrett Nelson being involved in any sort of way?
You know what? I don't recall. Mostly because I've been so far behind on podcasts. I ended up deleting about 10 Husker podcasts before the Mathis commitment because I knew I wasn't going to get to them. And once he committed, then I kind of went and stuck with the podcasts that were up to a day or two before he actually committed, and I'm still trying to get caught up. It's just the way things
Yeah.
have been. Uh, but I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if Mathis and Garrett did not have a sit down and said, "Yo, you need to come here. This coach is going to get you playing with your damn ass on fire, and you want to go to the league. This is where you come to go to the league." I mean,
We
Tuioti
just
put
proved
a
it.
couple of dudes. Tuioti just put a couple of dudes. You got Damian Daniels and Stilly both signed free agent deals, undrafted free agent deals. JoJo signed one with Indianapolis. You had 3 dudes. Did you see Toure getting freaking drafted? I didn't. I saw JoJo getting drafted before Toure did. But, we had 3 dudes picked for the first time in forever. So, yeah, I have a feeling they talk to each other, but just like 90% of the other shit we hear about the program, it's stuff we generally don't hear until later, right? So
Yeah.
something tells me, yeah, they've had a sit down, and we'll probably find out about it about 2 or 3 months later when the season's fixing to start. And yeah,
Yeah.
he's
They're
gonna have to
doing
earn
those
his
press
spot because,
conferences.
hey, let's be honest. Do you think Tanner's gonna be willing to give his spot up real quick just because some dude that was number 1 in the transfer portal showed up on campus? I think Tanner's gonna practice a lot harder now. He's not gonna make it easy. And he's not going to make it easy for Dawson to keep him off the field, even if Mathis is good enough to play right away. So then what? What do you do with him? Do you line him up outside as an actual will or a strong side linebacker in a 4-3? I would love that. I would love to
Yep.
see him play that Terrell Farley / Ed Stewart type role from back in the early 90s, where you had a big, mean, nasty son of a gun coming every single play. He was either going to kill the running back or he was going to kill the quarterback. And because you had 2 snorting beasts on the edge, and either Wistrom and Tomich or, you know, uh, God, I, I, I'm not going to be the negative Nancy that a lot of people have been, or at least a few. Well, to be truthful, and I'm going to unzip myself a little bit here.
Ooh,
After Mathis,
careful.
yeah, I know. After Mathis committed, me and Justin from the Cuzcast had a little DM conversation on Twitter, and full disclosure, I had a couple of sips of bourbon, and I just said, "Yeah, I'm glad he's here. I think it's great. Great, we got a good dude, but we had to pay a butt ton of money for him, most likely. And he's probably one of those guys that just wants to come in here and be the third down guy that goes in and gets all the glory, not knowing the full story of how his weekend went while he was here." So I was completely wrong on that side, most likely. And now, as I've heard his story, heard the story of how he got here and why he got here, I'm more and more convinced that this guy really wants to be a Husker. It's like your mom and I were talking about today. My fear is that the transfer portal and NIL will mean that a lot of guys will come to Nebraska via the transfer portal to play at Nebraska, not play for Nebraska, because there's a difference. I know without a shadow of a doubt, no matter how much NIL money Garrett Nelson has gotten or not gotten, he's a dude that plays for Nebraska. And that's something that I think NIL and transfer portal might take away from even some of the blue blood teams out there that, they might get all the big dudes coming out of high school, but if those guys don't get PT right away, they're going to be like, screw it. I wasn't here for the name on the front of the jersey. I'm here to make sure the dude on the back of the jersey gets his. And that's kind of my fear as to where a lot of this will go. But at the same time, it seems that this coaching staff has found them a guy in O'Shawn Mathis that isn't here to just play at Nebraska. It really sounds like he enjoyed what was offered to him, enjoyed how the school treated him, and he really wants to play for that end. And I think that's really cool. So,
And I wonder if there has something to do with to play devil's advocate to that. No, I do agree. I think that there are going to be an inordinate amount of transfers that play at somewhere instead of
Yeah.
for somewhere. I do agree with that. In the case of Nebraska, let's drink some Kool-Aid here. I do think that there is quite a bit of pride that the state of Nebraska holds for their team, and that I'm sure in those NIL deal meetings that
Right.
heads of corporations and businesses and all the things and everything, I'm sure they make it very clear to the players that I'm not just going to sign this check to you because you want to get a bag here. Like,
Right.
I need to know without a shadow of a doubt. I need to not this isn't a meeting just for money here. We are going to have
Right.
a character assessment meeting here. Like, why do you want to play at Nebraska? Let's go through the nuances of what the hell you think you're doing here.
Right.
And we will decide if we actually want to pay you this shit ton of money real quick.
Yeah.
Party foul, take a shot. But
Party foul. Take a drink.
yeah, that's my devil's advocate to that. I do have trust and confidence in the state of Nebraska with all of the illustrious history that we have and the love that the folks in Nebraska hold for our beloved Scarlet and Cream, that we probably have a little bit more just right off the bat. This is just a guess, but I think that we probably have a way more put together methodology of weeding through potential prospects to transfer here in the sense of interviews, figuring out who wants to be here. And I think Mathis, like you said, was probably I mean, obviously he was on our radar anyway, but probably made a lot of people really, really happy with his responses. And I mean, obviously a business deal, it goes two ways, like, what can we offer you? Like, how can we make you feel happy here and comfortable here? And I think we did a good job with that, obviously. But yeah, you followed me. Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome. I figured, well, you went through the dang trouble to make a Twitter and exposing yourself to the seedy underbelly of the Husker fandom that is Twitter. So I figured I should at least be there. I should really make my own account because I'm just going by Genred Pod at this point, specifically for the podcast. I should make my own, but I don't know. I think it'd be better if I'm known as the podcast and you're known as the support system to keep me sane, I suppose. I don't know.
And it doesn't make sense to have us both bouncing back and forth from one Twitter, logging in and out of the same one.
No doubt.
No, I agree with that.
So I don't know if you've paid much attention to baseball. I haven't.
Nope. Kind of lost interest.
It's kind of there's been a lot of games where it seems like they're close. It sounds familiar, where they lose by like 1 run to a team that's not even close to as talented as they are. And it's like, God almighty, can somebody please stop this freaking movie? I've seen it too many times. I mean, when will we get to the point where, it's back to what Husker, and I get it. The guys are young. Well, Gio and I talked about that the last time I did one of these. These guys are young. I mean, they don't know what it means to try to put together a college level resume. So they're learning. they're getting OJT in the worst way possible. But I think it'll make them better in the end. To go through the crap, so to speak, is usually how stuff ends up growing. But yeah,
man, I'm ashamed to say this, but I'm gonna pull one of those things you did. Just unzip. We're unloading here. There was a time during the preseason for Husker baseball that I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm putting a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of research into this podcast for football. And I have a lot of trust and confidence in Will Bolt and company to really make this baseball team
Yeah.
sufficient enough to compete this year. So you know what I should do? I should go through all of that, all of those details, really dig into the nitty-gritty of this baseball team and really invest myself into it. And I am so happy I did not do that. It would have been the most disappointing, time-consuming. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it's a waste of time because nothing about Husker sports is a waste of time, in my opinion. However, there is a consumption of time that could be very well considered a waste. And that would have been one of those that would have just been a very disappointing amount
Yeah.
of effort. Um, so I'm thankful I didn't do that. However, it just goes without saying that, dang, this baseball season is just
Mhm.
it was a big nothing burger, and it was sad. But like you said, give them benefit of the doubt. They are a young team. They still have a
Yeah,
lot of
they are.
experience to go. And honestly, iron sharpens iron. So what better way than to get these guys? I mean, they took a big, giant, fat piece of humble pie from this season of like, we were Big Ten champs. We
We're
almost went to
gonna
a
be the
super
Big Ten.
regional.
Yeah.
We went to a super regional. We were picked as a favorite to win the Big Ten again. And
Yep.
then you just get absolutely curb stomped by multiple teams on multiple occasions, had a bunch of heartbreaking close losses. And what does
Mhm.
that do? Does that, if there's something that we might not have a very big resume to prove this, but there's something I believe about Will Bolt. He can take adversity and make it an advantage. And what better way
Mhm.
than to galvanize his squad with, you guys got your asses kicked on
Mhm.
multiple occasions and you let yourselves down on multiple occasions. Do you want to take this experience and loathe and wallow in your self-pity, or do you want to take it and sharpen yourself and put a chip on your shoulder that, you know what, we're going to come back next season and we're going to put
Mhm.
together a really, really good season. They still got a little bit of time left. Do they? Has this season ended? See, this is how much I
No,
disassociated. they
no,
they still
they
they
still
still
got
have
a
like,
few weeks. They're
yeah,
still, if I remember right, I think they're still high enough in the standings in the Big Ten that technically they could still go to the Big Ten tournament. But in order to make a regional or even have a shot at a regional, they have to get to the Big Ten tournament and they have to win the damn thing. If they don't win the damn thing, they're done. Their season's over. So I
it
don't have a
would.
lot of confidence that that would happen, but you
No.
never know. They could get hot at the right time. Suddenly base hits start falling. Suddenly confidence gets put into the team. I mean, they've had their moments this year where it looks like they're coming out of the slump, like Iowa series. I think they won 1 out of 3, and the one that they won, they freaking won. They didn't
Yep.
mess around. So,
Yeah,
um,
they had to give them what is it called? They had to like call the game. It was like sportsmanship thing. It was like,
mercy
okay,
rule.
yeah, the mercy rule. It was like 12-1, or was it a storm? All I saw was that they only made it to the 7th inning. So I just assumed that they got the mercy rule. It could have been storms. Um,
Right.
but yeah, man, like I feel like an idiot in the sense that I didn't even know that the season was still going. I assumed it did because I mean, last time I checked, which was like a week ago, there was like 12, 15 games left on the docket. So it's like I should have just obviously known that, but I couldn't pull that
Yeah.
off the top of my head at this exact second. But yeah, nevertheless, like
Yep.
I would really love to see these guys, if I had like a word counter, I'm pretty sure from this last Husker football season all the way up until now, we have collectively used the word galvanize probably 50 times now. Um,
I'd
but
put the over under at about 50. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, perfect word for it. Cause it's like, dang,
Yeah.
are you gonna take the hits and let them knock you down and then use that as an excuse to stay down? Or are you gonna let those moments where you're on the ground realize what you need to do to remain up?
Right.
And so We'll see. We'll see. I do have trust that Will Bolt can get some stuff put together for the guys and get put a little bit of a fire underneath their ass, but we'll see. We'll see. I you know what, man? Bold prediction time. Here we go. I would not be surprised if in the Big Ten tournament somehow they make it to the finals, but they lose in heartbreak fashion. They
Yeah, like by
just
one
put it,
score.
yeah, by one score. That would be my bold prediction, is like they just shock everybody, like, oh yeah, Nebraska, they got fight in them, but you know, they're nowhere where they need to be this year. And then they just start sweeping the floor and end up in the finals, and then they lose to whoever they there we go, whoever they play.
Nice.
Allergies,
Well
man.
done.
Allergies
Oh,
have been
dude, they're
kicking my
killing
butt.
me.
It was like 2
They
weeks
are.
ago. 2
Yep.
weeks ago, I had like an allergy fit where for like 3 days, it was like a broken faucet valve from my nose. Like, just like I would literally have drops of snot, just like drip, drip. I've never had that before, ever. I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I was taking Zyrtec every day, and it was like stupid how much snot was coming out of my face. Like, it was like I
Mhm.
didn't even want to go do work orders for residents, because I was like, I'm gonna walk in and be explaining like, oh yeah, this solenoid
Yeah.
under your dishwasher needed replaced, and there's just like drops of snot coming out of my face, and they're just looking at me horrified.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I was so scared of that. Luckily, I don't think it happened, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
sucked.
Well,
Allergies have been kicking my ass.
dude, I'm with you because of all times to schedule eye surgery is allergy season, when that's all I do is rub my eyes for like 4 months straight.
Oh, I'm sure
And
that was torture.
it was like it felt like I had 2 giant eyelashes in both eyes right after the surgery, plus of, you had the allergies, and with that, and it was just, yeah, I was just like squirting Visine or whatever the crap that free stuff is that they gave me from the surgical center. It was called Blink, I think, is the stuff. It's really, really expensive, but it doesn't have sodium or any of that other junk in it that will really jack with your eyes. So, um, worked really, really well. So yeah, that's why you're not seeing the glare of my lighting on my glasses today, because I'm not wearing them anymore. I had cataracts removed, had lenses put in. It's amazing what I can see now. Though I have to say, about 2 days after the surgery, I walked in the bathroom, saw myself in the mirror, and I was wondering if it was possible they could put the cataracts back in, because holy shit, I thought this, looks as dark as it does on the camera now. No, not in bathroom lighting when you look in the mirror. There's a lot more gray in what I've still got on my face than what I thought, and that's why I shaved all the rest of it off, because that was really gray. I can't imagine what it would look like now that I can see it. So, but I'm grateful. I am so flippin' grateful for what I can see now. I didn't realize blue could be so blue. I didn't realize that, tree trunks had that much texture to their bark for the longest time. I can see chipmunks and squirrels running across the yard, and I actually know they're chipmunks and squirrels and not little blobs that
Dogs.
look like turds with legs. It's pretty amazing what they can do. And I was seeing better 24 hours. Within 24 hours, I woke up the next day and I was like, oh my gosh, I could see the alarm clock. I could never see the alarm clock before. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, no more glasses glare, at least for
What?
now.
Well, now that you have 20/20 vision,
Ah,
what out of these potential transfers? We already talked about Jordan Addison. I
yeah,
know that was a great
nice
segue.
segue, dude.
Uh,
Damn, that was smooth. Maybe you should host this shit from now on.
I'll take you up on
Oop,
that offer a few
there we
times at
go.
least, once I get
Party
more
foul. I
confident.
need to take a drink.
Ah, yes. We have a party foul banner. So if anybody ever joins us for a Husker fan hangout, we say with hesitation that we do not condone foul language. However, we are human, and being a Husker fan warrants plenty of foul language.
Yes, it does.
And so we have a new thing just randomly happened about 50 minutes ago, which is approximately 5 minutes before we hit the live button. I created a banner that is party foul, take a drink. So if you do cuss on our podcast, when you are a guest, you are required to take a drink of whatever beverage you are drinking. So happens that for me, I don't drink. So I win this game every time because then they just sip on like a LaCroix or a root beer or whatever. So I don't have the effect of unwarranted inebriation. However, back to the segue. With your 2020 vision, we have, according to Twitter, according to Reddit, and all of the media sources of the chitter chatter going in the underground, we have 3 potential transfers. 2 of them are a little bit more likely than one, but we have 3 4-stars. 2 of them come from Alabama, 1 comes from Florida. These are the names that have been floating around. As Husker Nation tends to be, we have potential names, and then somewhere out of nowhere, somebody commits from somewhere that nobody's been talking about, and that's usually how it goes. However, with these guys, I mean, it would be really sick if we got a couple 4-star guys from out in Alabama and Southern country like Florida. We got 4-star nose tackle, potential nose tackle. With these guys, these 2 nose tackles that I call them, is just because that's most likely where that's literally the only position that I can see them playing because they're just big freaking beasts. We got 4-star nose tackle Stephen Wynn from Alabama. Then 4-star nose tackle Lamar Goods. That's a sweet name. From Florida. And then the
I like win too, because that's what we need to do. Sorry, didn't mean to
that'd be
interrupt.
win some goods. And then and then the one that's I want to say it's sort of less likely, just word on the street. Kane Williams, defensive back, Kane Williams from Alabama as well. So we got 2 guys from Alabama, 1 guy from Florida, potentially on our list. I think the only reason why their names are getting recognized so much is because they are super high caliber guys. Don't know the actual potentiality of them coming here, but do you think any one of those 3 guys, to combination of the 3, do you think we get any of them?
Well, my vision's not that good. I couldn't even begin to guess where we're going to end up with those 3 guys. Quite frankly, some of the podcasts I've been listening to the last couple of days are about 3 days old, 2-3 days old. So I've not gotten to the point where some of these podcasts may have mentioned those guys. So my educated opinion is one that's not educated at all. So I have no freaking clue. Hey, there you go. I didn't have to put the party foul back up there. I wanted to, though. Damn it, I wanted to. No, I don't know. What do you think? Do you have any kind of a read on it based on anything that you're hearing?
I saw somewhere in the Reddit comments. I'm trying to find it right now, and I don't remember, or I can't find it right now, but I saw 1 or 2 of the guys are visiting from somewhere like May 12th to May 15th. So we are getting some visits from 1 or 2 of the guys. I'm trying to find it right now. Let's see. Where did yes. Okay. So this is a post from T_Dubsy for potential transfers. And he states, does not give his resources. So this is just word from this guy. Let's see, where do I start? Holding official visits for former Florida defensive tackle Lamar Goods and former Alabama. Oh, so the DB, Kane Williams, is visiting somewhere between May 12th and May 15th. So that's good. No pun intended.
That's a win-win.
Oh God, we're terrible.
Hey, I got to throw the dad jokes in. That's my job, for God's sake.
And then maybe they'll get, maybe one of those guys will get a NIL deal from Raising Cane's.
I've
Oh
always
God.
said Casey's needs to be NIL for Casey Thompson and
Yeah,
Rogers
buddy.
for that reason. Maybe he would have stayed. That pizza sucks, though. Really, it used to be good.
I still think it's good. Hot take. So long as the pizza's hot, then yeah. But yeah, no, I don't. I have no idea. If I'm drinking Kool-Aid, I imagine that we have a 50-50 shot at getting one of them to commit.
Okay.
But the fact that I am committed to not drinking Kool-Aid this off season,
Hard not
probably
to
not.
do, man. I'm
Probably
drinking Kool-Aid.
probably
I
not.
just have half sugar in it. I'm not fully sweetening it yet, but I am drinking the Kool-Aid.
I'm naturally an optimist, so it's really hard for me to lean completely into full pessimistic modes of thinking. I'm like a 60-40. I tend to think more optimistically, but the pessimistic side of me always just creeping back there, like the devil on my shoulder is like, hey, but how is this gonna suck?
Yeah.
Um,
How are we going to figure
so
out a way to beat ourselves half to death with this positivity that it seems like our team has done for
yeah,
years and years and years? Yeah, I
I
get you.
think I do think that there is a good selling point for either one of these defensive linemen, just in the sense that you know for a
Mhm.
fact that you are going to be in a rotation. You know you're going to get a good NIL deal coming here. You know that you're going to get the utmost like attention from our fandom, like paying very close attention to what you can provide for our defensive line.
Yeah.
And like
Mhm.
you said, the pedigree of having Mike Dawson as a defensive line coach, like of course, if you are two guys from Alabama, like you already know that if you even find yourself as a number one at any point in your career, you're making it
Yeah.
into a draft. So, I mean, that might not necessarily be a selling point, but I guess this is my thought is going to Alabama is an insanely hard thing for any D1 athlete to do. It is
Mhm.
not an easy place to play football. They hold their guys to an insane level of accountability. They do not have fun. It is military style football there.
Yeah.
They do not F around. And so whenever people transfer out of Alabama, I always have that little like, are you not one of those guys? Are you not a guy who can handle a boot camp style, uh,
Sure.
like training regimen? Like,
Mhm.
are you a hot shot? I'm not saying that these guys are that, but it's always in the back of my mind that when somebody's transferring out of Alabama, it's because they just aren't about the grind.
Yep. Yep. I'm with you. I'm with you. Huh. Yeah, I I sure hope we get there's 3 of them, right? There's 3 guys, 1 from Florida, 2 from Alabama. What if we went
Correct.
1 for 3? If we went 1 for 3, my guess is both of us would prefer a defensive lineman
Absolutely.
over the DB. We've got DBs coming out of our rear ends, for God's sakes. And
Yep.
Lord knows, we really don't need any offensive players right now because we're probably going to have to shed a few before fall camp comes along.
Yep.
Uh, Mickey Joseph said it himself, right? That guys in his room are not playing for playing time or a spot on the depth chart. They're playing for a roster spot, which I don't know. Maybe that kind of gives you a little bit of a glimpse into why Xavier Betts is done. He's like, I just wanted to be on the depth chart. Maybe I don't really want to have to worry about whether or not I have a spot on the roster. So, because it's unfortunately with the transfer portal with NIL, that's kind of one of those things that comes along with it. That if you're not getting the job done in a year or two when you're here after you get recruited out of high school, chances are we're bringing somebody from the transfer portal to replace you. It's just
Yep.
the new age of college football. I don't like it. I'd prefer to see Nebraska go back to being that developmental program that made them so doggone great in the 90s. You developed the trenches. You developed linebackers. You developed those core spots on the team, and then you enhanced those with some national recruits that were really, really good. For example, running back. That's what we did, though a lot of them ended up coming out of Omaha back in the day, which is good to see. Mickey Joseph, Brian Applewhite, and all those guys getting connections back to Omaha again. I think we're going to see a lot more Nebraska blood coming into this program, coming out of that metro area, because there's a butt ton of talent in Omaha. We lost a lot of it the last couple of years to other places. So I'm excited to see what that future holds. And you know what? Here we are. We're sitting here about an hour in going, well, we're kind of right back where we started. We got O'Shawn Mathis. We're not sure what's coming in again. We got Devin Drew. We're not sure who the starting running back's going to be. We're not sure who the starting 3 wide receivers are going to be. We're not sure if, Xavier Betts is gone for sure, or if the window is open for him to come back or any of that kind of stuff. What I do know for sure, son, is I saw Scott Frost at church on Sunday. I did not know he attends Lincoln Berean. Maybe he was visiting. I don't know. But I saw him at church, and I'm here to tell you there's a reason why not a lot of people will probably want to mess with him. That dude is still built like a freaking linebacker. I couldn't believe his arms are probably 3 or 4 inches bigger around than my calves, for God's sakes. This dude is just plain stacked. And he looked utterly exhausted. And, come to find out, a day or so later, you find out the show cause and all that kind of crap with Jonathan Rutledge and all that stuff that happened a couple years ago with the tampering and coaching that shouldn't have happened from an analyst and all that kind of stuff. So I know that was probably wearing on him. I have no doubt that the whole Mathis thing was wearing on him too, waiting to find out what that result is going to be. But he looked exhausted. So I just kind of went up. I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, "Hey, coach, I'm not going to bug you. I just want to let you know I'm praying for you. We're praying for you. We're behind you 100%. And he looked me right in the eye and he smiled and he said, "Thank you," and grabbed his kid and turned around and walked away. And I was like, because nobody was talking to him. I think most people there were like, "Oh, it's Scott Frost. Let's leave him be. Let him have a place to go where he's not Scott Frost," right?
Yeah.
And then I'm that dude that walks up, "Hey," because your mom was like, "No, don't." I'm like, "No, don't worry about it. I'm not going to get a picture or some goofy douchebag shit like that, Whoops. I got to put the banner. Sorry. I boo-booed. And I was even talking about church, for God's sakes, and I had to curse.
Heretic.
Heretic. It was a good time though. That was a really cool place to go. I really enjoyed it. Anyway.
No, that's good to know. I mean, like, yeah, I'm sure he appreciated just a fan going up to him and short, sweet, to the point. "Hey, man, thinking about you, praying for you. See ya." Like,
Yep.
doesn't suck any life out of his day at all. Like, if anything,
No,
it's a net positive. And that, yeah, I mean, honestly, every Sunday I would go to church. I just Sundays are just not good for me, so I just show up looking wrecked all the time. And
yeah,
I got the bags under my eyes. I wear good clothes. I gotta look nice, but I'm not like, I'm just like, I'm here. I'm here now, and that's basically what I got for you.
I'm here. I'm not all there, but I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yep.
I'm with you.
No, do you have any other things to say? I mean, I have one comment about just
go ahead.
Oh shoot, I think I'm gonna sneeze again. I feel it. It's up in the nostrils, but now that I mentioned it, my body's gonna be like, it's just gonna be a slow burn here, buddy. I'm gonna grab a tissue just in case.
And broadcast right about the time that sneeze fires off.
Never fails. As soon as I grab a tissue,
and then everybody
it goes
sees
away.
the swirly thing on their screen. Shit, we didn't get to see him sneeze. Oh, damn. Well, I've already got the party foul up. Whoops.
Whoopsie
Um,
daisy. No, I was just gonna say the sneeze went away for now. Well, there's a burp.
there you go.
Yeah.
Mm,
So I
tasty.
was lurking through once again Husker Reddit. Uh, oh my goodness. Yeah, there was just some Thunder, OKC Thunder exit interview takeaways for Isaiah
Mhm.
Roby, and he's
Oh,
middle of
that's
the
right. Yeah.
he's middle of the pack on the roster. You know, is I guess his overall ranking from one of the OKC news website, their wire. You know, it's like the Hail Varsity for OKC. They gave him like a B grade. You know, 12th guy on the roster. You know,
Mhm.
so he's just not quite in the rotation as much as you know, like a more standout guy would be, but essentially from what I'm gathering from OKC fans is that they want to see him more, and that the staff are incredibly impressed
Very cool.
with his tenacity, his athleticism, and his ability to be a useful tool for them. And the main takeaways that I'm seeing from the analysts, from the fans, from just even Husker fans that watch him just casually, is that it just seems like he doesn't have a ceiling. He has
Mhm.
he will get what he puts into it. The harder he works, the better he's going to get. And there doesn't seem to be a ceiling for Isaiah Roby right now. And
Right.
that's just awesome to hear for a Nebraska alum. And I wish nothing but the best for him. I knew from the time that, I mean, I was super bummed when he decided to go to the NBA,
Yeah.
because it was like, man, what we could use with him, with Fred Hoiberg for one more year, like that would just be
Right.
awesome. But yeah, it just seems like he's on the up and up right now. It's not particularly clear if he's going to be a starter by any stretch of the imagination, but he might
Right.
find himself in the rotation a lot more often this next season. And so that's just
That
good to
would
hear.
be awesome. That would be absolutely shoot, I might become an OKC fan then, or at least casually enough to watch a few games here and there. Uh, what do you think about Bryce McGowan's he's obviously declared, his brother just declared, I believe, this last week.
Yeah, I
So the
don't
brothers
blame
are
him.
headed. I think Bryce is probably a late first rounder.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Eh,
and his ceiling hasn't even been close to reached yet.
no.
You get him into a strength and conditioning program in an NBA team where he can put on another 15 pounds with that athleticism. Holy cow. Sky's the limit for that dude. And
Yeah.
Trey's just a grinder. He's gonna go out there, he's gonna steal balls, he's gonna block shots, he's gonna get rebounds, he's gonna be that enforcer out there on the court, that teams always seem to look for. So I'll be definitely watching those guys and see where they end up.
I'm just like, I know the NBA and basketball, the recruiting and all that stuff is just completely different than football.
Right.
But one of the things that just blows my mind is, Bryce McGowan's is just a top
Mhm.
tier above the rest athlete, that we
Yep.
caught the most perfect recruit that we possibly could with Fred Hoiberg, in the sense that our team was just abysmal, as it
Yeah.
has been for 5-6
Ever.
years. And the fact that he can, be a first round draft pick, like that is
Mhm.
I mean, that's just awesome. Like, good for you, dude. Like, that's good for
Oh,
you. Go
absolutely.
go get your
Absolutely.
money and go climb that ladder up to wherever your ceiling may or may not be. Um,
Yes, indeed. Well, I don't think there's really a whole lot left to talk about, and I'm not sure if anybody wants to hear anything more about our personal lives. Obviously, they didn't care when we had 2 viewers for a while, and
yeah,
then,
we did.
it happens. But we'll get viewers later because 'cause I'll share it everywhere on Facebook because that's
Yes.
what I do.
And
Um,
I don't blame people. I mean, the off season
yeah.
is just so dead. I mean, there's only crazy people like
Yeah.
myself and my dad who want to talk about Husker shit all the time.
Oh, damn it.
So
Now I've got to put up the freaking party foul again.
yep. And I actually, my root beer and my LaCroix is gone, so I'll just take a hit of my vape.
Your vape.
I'll hit my vape.
You're such a vapist.
That was edgy.
Yeah, because I'm sure the vape didn't want to be hit. So
It was a consensual thing,
it
okay?
was all right, I suppose.
Yeah, no,
Anyway,
I think that pretty much does it for
yeah.
this session of a Husker fan hangout where it's just me and my dad,
And we're both
We're
fans,
Husker
so
fans
we're hanging out, and
and
that
we're just
works.
hanging out.
And it would be a whole lot more fun if a lot of you would join us. And any of you who happens to be listening to this podcast in audio form, please, you don't have to be shit. We don't know nothing. We just hang out and talk about stuff, talk out our booty holes for the most part, I would say. But we have a heck of a lot of fun doing it. And we've got some fun, exciting stuff coming up for the Generation Red podcast in the very near future. Most notably, beginning in August, we will do our first official preseason show on Sunday, August 7th at time to be determined based on our guests' availability. So stay tuned. We will be able to give you a little bit more info on who that guest is in the near future. Trust me, he's been on Hale Varsity in the past, so that's pretty flippin' cool. He's not a former player. Actually, he's not even technically a Husker fan, but he's in sports media. He's involved with the Big Ten, so it's going to be a lot of fun to hang out and talk about what he thinks Nebraska's chances are in 2022. And then on August 14th, I can announce this because they both confirmed. Abby and Meg from Twitter and the Pop and Kernels podcast back in the day will be joining us. So we will be diversifying our show finally. No more swinging phalluses. It'll just be girls and guys. So, oh Lord Almighty,
Reaching
that ought to be
across the
fun.
spectrum here.
Yes, we are offering an olive branch, if you will, to the other side of the gender aisle. So it should be a lot of fun. Those gals are an absolute hoot. And they were recently on a Go Big Redcast episode about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So make sure if you're not listening to the Go Big Redcast that you subscribe and go look for the Husk Girls episode. It's a heck of a lot of fun. And then on August 21st, it will be my buddy Michael from Alabama, who started listening to our show this last year and became a Husker fan, even though he was never a college football fan, and he damn sure wasn't a fan of anything in Alabama, which just warms the cockles of my heart. What can I say? But now he's a Husker fan, so he'll be joining us to preview the season, and hopefully we will take some time and look at each game and see what we think is going to happen this next year. Anyway, that's what you have to look forward to from us. Until then, make sure you go to our website at genredpod.com where you can listen, download, or subscribe to the show via the links provided. And you can find us at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube by just following the links at the top of our webpage. So genredpod.com for everything you need to know about our show. And thanks so much for watching and listening. We appreciate you guys. And until next time, damn it, Jeffrey, the Greek, you and I, my friend, we have a love-hate relationship because I love Amador whiskey and I hate the fact that you turned me on to it. But your corn still sucks, Jeremy or Jeffrey. Your corn still sucks.
Sucks
There in
bad.
Iowa. You don't. You're cool. Church of the Corn podcast. The latest episode is worth listening to. Jeff was on there. So if you're not subscribed to that, make sure you are. Those guys are awesome. And yeah, until next time, Iowa's corn sucks. Jeffrey doesn't. And go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
Yes, indeed. And we
You have
are.
You have an end
Nope.
video?
Nope.
No
I got
video?
nothing.
Okay.
Nope.
All right, I'm
Too
hitting
much.
this red button here then.
Yeah.
Bye.